As you all know, the RuneScape Underground can at times sound really appealing. Millions of gold on your account in seconds, high levels with no effort, and time-consuming goals completed while you sleep. Jagex says ban these practices for not only game integrity reasons, but for account security. Many services require you to hand over all your account details to the seller. No matter how trustworthy they seem to be, it's never an entirely secure process. A buyer's worst nightmare? Their account details being leaked or stolen by the seller. Today, that nightmare comes true. I talked with a head staff member on a once popular underground site who performed a huge exit scam on all of his clients and even screwed over the owner of the site in an unimaginably cruel way. Let's dive in. 2005. RuneScape 2 was about a year old and gold selling was, well, weird. Today, you could pay for gold with things like debit cards, credit cards, PayPal, cryptocurrencies. Hell, you could probably buy gold with Dogecoin. Back then, there wasn't crypto, and even most credit card processors weren't fully online yet. But you did have other options, like sticking your money in an envelope and sending it to the gold seller. I'm not kidding, this was actually fairly common back then. Jagex actually also let you buy membership this way. Back to gold selling, you could actually pay with currency from other games as well, the most popular one being Habbo Hotel. Now, this is where our gold seller comes in. He'd like to remain anonymous for obvious reasons, so we're gonna make up a name for him. I swear I'm really running out of names, maybe comment some suggestions for me. His name will be Green, because that's what his Discord profile color was. So Green stumbles across a website that is still open to this day, centered around the RuneScape Underground. In fact, it's the most popular one, but I won't say its name for obvious reasons. He decides he wants a piece of the pie and wants to focus on RuneScape account services, such as power leveling, questing, fire capes, buying and selling accounts, and lastly, of course, gold buying and selling. Now, this obviously takes some time. It wasn't just overnight like, hey guys, I sell all these terms of service breaking stuff that'll get you banned. Come buy it. Because most people think,
wait a minute, who are you?
A lot of underground services are based around trust. If you get screwed over, Jagex can't help you, the forums you use can't help you, they'll maybe ban the scammer, and sometimes even your payment processor can't help you. So Green had to start small and build a reputation, which obviously takes forever. Some time passes and Green is grinding, leveling accounts, selling gold, you know, all that good stuff. Then boom, it's 2008, Jagex says, we're removing your ability to trade unbalanced amounts of wealth, the wilderness is now safe, and go fuck yourselves. It was their solution to stop real world trade, and although it slam dunked the game's player base count into the toilet for a while, it actually worked. So Green really had no choice but to either really limit the services he offered or quit. The competition was really fierce because everyone else was now being cramped into a small little corner of the few services they could still offer. So Green quit. When free trade and the wilderness were later restored, black market sellers realized, and they started crawling back to the game. But Green got back in early, came across an emerging forum for gold sellers and service providers called Lumbridge.net. Very cool domain name, I know. Don't visit it today as it's a private server now, which I obviously do not endorse. But if you'd like to see what it used to look like, it's partially archived in the Wayback Machine, and it can prove the rough outline of the authenticity of the story. Green was one of the first big-time sellers to service the site, and as a result got very close with the site's owner. He rose the ranks from trusted seller to eventually a site moderator. Now this is where stuff gets sketchy. He kind of led a double life. On one side of his underground career, he was an account trainer and gold farmer. On the other side, he ran a phishing website in which he would steal accounts, bot on them, and transfer everything to various mule accounts before they got banned. As you could have guessed, the worlds eventually started to collide. Rather than hand-train customer accounts, he would train multiple at a time by botting on them. This is where it likely could have stopped had drama on Lumbridge's forums not popped up. Green was, in his words, getting upset with just how toxic the community was. The owner didn't seem to mind and may have encouraged it in a way. Someone Green previously banned for offensive language was unbanned by the owner and was later promoted to moderator. I'm assuming he was friends with the owner, but this is so old that we'll never really know for sure. At the same time, Green was demoted down to just a black market manager, likely because he banned the owner's friend. Now, this is where things really get messy. Green cracked open the logs of people's account information that he had been training, as well as exporting copies of any new customers' friends lists. Although it was a bit of a gray area back then, people did use alternate accounts, often with the same passwords, which they likely added as friends on their main account. Because if you wanted to play RuneScape and you're paying for a fire cape, that's an hour or two that you can't play. Or if you're paying for a 99, that could be days that you wouldn't be able to play your account. Now this was at a time when RuneScape's player base was largely kids. The type that get told, give me your password and I'll give you 1,000 trillion million GP. So oftentimes after purchasing a service, they just wouldn't change their password because it was a trusted seller, or if they did, they wouldn't change the password of their other accounts because they figure, hey, I didn't give them those ones. The same thing goes for if you were consistently purchasing services from one user. Why would you change the password if you're just going to have to give it back to them in a day? So Green went through, tried all the passwords, and a decent amount of them still worked. Then he hatched a plan. He would log in, steal all the GP, transfer it through the Duel Arena to try and make it look less suspicious, and then bought the original account, transfer it again, and just keep botting until it got banned. That way the user wouldn't think, oh, I've been hacked. They'd assume they'd finally gotten caught for using underground services. Meanwhile, Green was making off with a huge profit in the background. Now, the community started to catch on. What was the next step? When Green was still a moderator, he did some training for the site's owner. As his final act of revenge, he tried the password on the admin panel, and it worked. So he deleted everything in the directory. Just like that, the site was gone. Green walked away with multiple max cash stacks. At the time, gold was worth around $1 per mil, so he likely got pretty close to 5 figures worth of US dollars. Speaking of gold sellers flipping sides, that's basically all the Revenant Caves used to be about. Constant wars, clans falling and rising. If you'd like a brief history of who's controlled those caves over the past few years and the drama alongside with it, check out the video on screen now.